So a couple comments that I'm seeing. Hello, everyone. Heather Bell said the month is flying, and I couldn't agree more. I don't know how this month is half over. Welcome in, everyone. And Betty, we'll talk about that. Betty says, is next week really the end? Hi, Betty Lou and Peggy. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Candace. Perfect day for quilting in her state. She says it's cold and gray. That is a perfect day for quilting. Hi, Miss Sandra. Sandra, you've been busy. I keep seeing posts of you're posting your mystery quilt and you're posting I believe it's Oh My Stars that you're working on. Glad you're here joining us. Hi, Kay. Joni, every time we see your stuff, we're like, that is beautiful. All right, just one quick reminder, if you have not yet done this, if you have, you don't have to do it again, but if you have not yet done this, be sure to visit streamyard.com/Facebook just so that we are able to see your comments today and so that you can be entered into our $10 store credit giveaway for joining us on the live. The keyword today is the word quilt. So make sure that you're in through StreamYard, giving them permissions, and then you can type the word quilt to be entered into our giveaway today. And we're off to the races. We do have that camera situation. I don't know how we want to do that, but hello and welcome.
Go away.
Yeah, well,
that's okay.
It's okay. So hello, welcome in, everyone. My name is Aubrey.
And I'm Sarah.
And Sarah is your designer for the mystery quilt for 2023, and she's going to be teaching your week 3 class today. I see everyone typing the word quilt, which is fantastic. You're going to be entered into our $10 store credit giveaway. Before we officially get started, I think you should show what you just held up to me before we
in the background and went.
Yeah, before we came on camera.
Yes, this is and when I have my other camera, I can show them too because the color is a little off on this camera, but this is our firework block. It's very cute. It has obviously the 2 firework appliques, and I just love the little star down here, like it's lighting the fuse, and then really fun kind of firecracker quilting in the background. That's simple, but really, really cute. And this is a freebie right now for a limited time. And I don't know how long that's going to last. So make sure you go snag this. But this comes in 5-inch and 8-inch. So this is, we've been doing a lot of freebie blocks this year, but this is the very first time that we've offered 2 sizes just because I had to see it in an 8-inch. So we get to pass that on to you guys, which is really fun.
It is so cute. I love that. Oh, now we got that thing. I'm not exactly sure how to make this work, so we're just going to roll with it.
There you go.
I'm not going to stress about it. But anyways, so go take advantage of that. That's on the website under the open house tab. And I'm telling you what, by the time the end of the month rolls around, if not, we might keep it up through July 4th, but then after that, it's not going to be free anymore. But we wanted to make sure that you had access to that. All right, Sarah. So we're diving into week 3. What do you got lined up for us?
Yes. So I'm happy that you say that because before we went live, I was kind of looking at where my blocks were covered up, and I was looking at the week 4 blocks. So I would have. My brain started working again, and it's week 3. So how about I uncover these, and then I'll snag my other camera, and I'll give you guys a better close-up of those blocks. And this week, I would say, I got a pin on the floor, but that's okay. This week, I would say that these blocks, especially the ones up here, stitch a lot faster. So if you are someone that kind of likes to stitch at the same pace as our demonstrations go, and as we like week by week as we reveal the blocks, this is kind of a good catch-up week.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes. Okay, just a few more. Hopefully I'm uncovering all the correct blocks.
I hope so. Otherwise, you're going to give them a really early sneak peek.
I know. Yeah, so like I said, if you are someone who kind of wants to keep going at the same pace that we are, perfect week to catch up because you've got these blocks in each of the corners that stitch very quickly. It's pretty much just a few tack downs for fabric and then that really pretty quilting. So let me switch over to this. I'll stop talking and I'll show you guys a close-up of it.
And I think by now, I mean, we're starting to really see. There we go, Sarah. If you want to turn there,
yeah. Hold on 1 second there.
So all the type A's who had to kind of know before they dove in, I feel like this is your week.
Yes, yes, you pretty much get it now, right?
Yeah. So
I just
pretty.
love this quilting. I love how it kind of mimics the shapes of the appliques in the center. You know, this kind of round shape. It kind of mimics that. And I love it with this. It has wool batting in my sample, so you can really see a lot of dimension there.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
that's
pretty. Today we are stitching out F5, which is this block. So we get a little of that background quilting, plus we'll do this new applique, new to you applique.
so beautiful.
So yes, this is the week to catch up if you want to. And if you don't want to, you do not have to. That's kind of the beauty of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off this camera, Aubrey, and I'm going to get set up for a demo really quick.
Okay. Sarah, is that where your audio is coming through?
It is.
All right. I'm scared to remove it. So give me just a second.
Okay, there you go. And I'll just turn this off real quick.
There we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm thinking you're going to switch cameras, right?
I'm going to use the same camera I was just on. So yeah, I won't be over here. I gotta go back over here. Hold on a sec. You'd think I'd have it together with week 3, right?
Well, while you're doing that, it's no big deal. While you're doing that, I just want to remind everyone, like we just said, the mystery quilt is still available to purchase at this price. Once it's no longer a mystery, which I believe we're revealing the final stuff next week. Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong. And then we're doing a joining live the following week. So once we reveal everything at the end of next week, the price does go up. So you do get some good pricing for trusting us and jumping in while it's a mystery. So the mystery quilt price for right now is $94 if you just work off of those downloadable files. And then it's $107.99 if you decide to add the USB, which will ship mid to late July. Okay. I'm going to switch you over to your demo cam, Sarah. You are all set.
Okay, let's do this. Yeah, and Aubrey had said that next week we will reveal the final blocks of the mystery quilt, but we'll still join you on week 5 as well because we'll do joining and sashing and all that fun stuff.
And actually, Catherine has a good question before you start your week 3 demo. And she's asking, Is it okay to start sewing blocks together?
Yeah, if you have made a Hoop Sisters, I'm not sure which Catherine asked, but if you have made a Hoop Sisters project or quilt before and you feel confident in joining your blocks, you have that layout file with each week. So you can kind of see, you kind of know just by looking at the layout of this, how you might join it. For instance, I believe I split it into quarters and joined it. So there are definitely sections that you can join now if you want to. as long as you are confident in doing so and you've done this before. So absolutely do that. But if you don't want to and you're a little hesitant and you want another demonstration on pinning and joining blocks and adding sashing, then definitely just wait until week 5 and we'll do that together.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, this is block F5 that we are going to be demonstrating. And you can see here I have my battleizer in my hoop. I'm going to move my camera back a little bit. Okay, I have my battleizer in the hoop, and battleizer is our batting and stabilizer combination. So this is just one product that I put right in my hoop, and then with a water-soluble thread, I'll sew the placement stitch. And this is just kind of the outline of my block here. And for our second step, you keep water-soluble thread in the needle and you'll tack down your prepared wool batting, which I meant to grab a piece. I apologize, I didn't. But to prepare the wool batting, you'll just cut it to the appropriate size for your block, and it'll tell you the exact size in our instructions. And then you'll just press the edges ever so slightly. It kind of flattens them and seals them so that your presser foot will not get caught when it's doing the zigzag stitch to tack down. Now in the previous weeks, we did use the wool batting. I'm going to skip it for today. So I just tell my machine, go to step 3, and step 3 will be a placement stitch onto my battleizer since I didn't use that wool. And we'll do that placement stitch with a water-soluble thread. Okay, so for step 4, we are going to take our background fabric. And I really failed this week. I didn't print instructions either, so I apologize if I tell you guys the wrong fabric number. But we'll take our background fabric. We're going to align that over our block. And once I have it lined up, I just like to peek under all my edges to make sure that it's covering everything nicely. And then still with a water-soluble thread, we will tack this down. Okay, so now that we have our background fabric tacked down, I'm just going to go ahead and trim that a scant 1/4 inch from the tack down on the inside edge of the block, which would be this curved edge right here. And I'll just use my hoop scissors to do that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of the beauty of it. Okay, so I've got my hoop back on my machine. And now for step 5, I'm going to take fabric 6 and align that over the placement stitching. And then still with water-soluble thread in the needle, I'll sew the tack down. This will also sew some placement stitching for our applique.
And I love Sheila's attitude. She says, I'm learning so much working on this project, and her mistakes are helping her learn too. And isn't that the truth? Like, if we look at it like, oh, I see now, I need to do this. Also, she said, Sarah, thanks for the great videos. They're helpful too.
Good, yes. That's how I learn too, is from messing something up or, doing something a little bit wrong, and then you learn what to do next time. Okay, so I'm going to trim fabric 6 the same way. So just with my hoop scissors with this nice offset handle, and I'm going to trim a scant 1/4 inch from the tack down stitching only on the inside of the block. You want to make sure you're leaving at least a 1/2 inch of fabric on the outside edges of the block because you want that to end up in your seam allowance. If you trim too closely, then you won't have any fabric to catch in your seam allowance, and you'll see a raw edge right where your seam is.
And Sarah, whenever you have a moment, Margie's asking what is water soluble thread and what's in the bobbin?
Yeah, I just have a pre-wound bobbin, just a regular embroidery bobbin in the bobbin. And then in the needle is where you would put your water soluble thread. Okay, step 6, I'm going to take fabric 5 and align that over this last little placement stitch. And again, I'll just peek under each side to make sure it's covered, and then still with water soluble thread just in the needle, I'll tack that down.
That fabric is stinking cute.
I love it.
I do too. Really adorable.
Okay, now we're going to trim this piece of fabric a little different. So with this piece, this is going to be one of our appliques, and we are going to trim this close to the tack down stitching on the inside edge of the block. So I'm going to switch over to my hoop scissors mini. And as I trim, if I'm trimming close to my tack down stitching, when I trim, I just like to apply a little bit of outward pressure on my fabric because I find that for me, I can get a cleaner cut that way. Gotta rotate my hoop a little. And notice how also when I'm trimming, I'm leaving my hoop on a hard, flat surface, so that if I push on this or apply any pressure downward with my scissors, I'm not going to shift the design in the hoop. Or if I trim with it on my lap, like sitting near my knees, they don't press into the bottom of the hoop and shift it. Because that's a bummer when that happens.
That's a really good simple tip too.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to switch my thread out. I was cheating and I was just using a pink thread, not actually a water soluble. So give me 1 second. Okay. Now we're on step 7. So I'll take my next piece of fabric, and I believe this is fabric 4. I'm going to align that over the placement stitch, and then you're still going to have a water soluble thread in your needle, and you'll tack this down, and then I'll use my hoop scissors mini to trim close to the tack down stitching. Okay, so I'll trim this up really quick with the hoop scissors mini. Okay, and then for our next fabric, which I think this is fabric 3, you'll align that over your placement stitching. And now here we're going to switch from a water soluble thread to a thread color of your choice because it will also sew some detail onto the fabric. Okay, and we're going to trim this up the same way. So with the hoop scissors mini, and I'll apply a little bit of outward pressure on that fabric, and I will trim as close as possible. And I see that Paula is folding laundry. Man, I need to do that too. Got a big pile at home. I love the hoop scissors mini because they have a fine blade and a really sharp point, so they can get in those small areas really well.
Hey, Sarah, Sheila asked if you could get even closer up so she can see how exactly close you're trimming.
Yeah, let me put this last piece of fabric down, my last piece for the applique, and I'll trim it, and then I will try to get it a little bit closer so that you guys can see. Okay, so this is, I think this might be my fabric too. And you're going to tack this down with the thread color of your choice. Okay, now let me trim this and then we'll see how close we can get in there. And one thing about anytime we have an applique where you're trimming close to the tack down stitching, one thing that you can see if you kind of pay attention to stitch length and how many times it goes around, the stitch length is shorter. So it's less likely that you are going to trim a stitch. It also goes around twice, again, to make it less likely that when you're trimming closely that you'll nick one of those stitches. Okay, I got to back up my camera a little. Hopefully that helps.
That's a good view.
Yeah. So I think that'll help you. I do have one little, kind of had a little fray there. Fold that away or trim it. Okay. So what's our next step? So our next step, we are going to sew some of the quilting onto fabric 6. So you'll just put a thread in your needle only that matches fabric 6. Gotta trim that. Oh man, see, this is why people use the automatic threader.
While you're doing that, I thought this comment was cute. Candace loves your colors, and now she wants to totally change hers, but she's sticking with her Christmas theme, so her gift is done in time because she knows herself too well.
There you go. Yeah, you got to get a head start on it if you're making a quilt for someone for Christmas, huh? And this is one of the best things that I love about our designs is you get the quilting included. So you're not just doing the applique and any piecing. The quilting is part of the design too. So it's really the full package.
I love that too because it's not an extra cost that you have to buy separately either. It's just all in there and all beautiful.
Right.
Paula said she loves that too, and how could you not? Great.
I'm going to switch my thread out now. And this step, we're on step 11 of block F5. And by the way, for reference, I'm doing a 5-inch block again this week. But for step 11, it's thread color of your choice. So make sure you're writing down which thread color on your instructions for that step that you're using, just as a reference for when you get to corresponding steps. But this thread, this step is just going to sew some detail stitching.
It sounds like we should all be friends with Ellen because she's making rope poles and tea towels from the sunflower applique to give to her friends as housewarming gifts. I think that's so sweet.
That's awesome.
A quick reminder that if you have given StreamYard access, our keyword for today is the word quilt, and somebody's going to win $10 in store credit. Woohoo!
Okay, for step 12, we are going to sew the satin stitching over the top of our, oh goodness, this is fabric 4, sorry, over fabric 4. So you just want a thread and the needle that matches that fabric. But I skipped ahead a few steps, guys. I did prepare that. I didn't print my instructions or have wool, but I did prepare. Okay, so I can get my hoop on my machine. So I did step 11, 12, and 13, and that is just sewing the satin stitch on each of the raw edges of our applique. So I'm going to skip those steps. And now we are on step 16, which is going to sew the background quilting. So I'll switch my thread and the needle to a thread that matches my background fabric.
Sarah, did you put the backing fabric on yet?
I did not. I apologize. Thank you for asking that. I see Kathy asked that. Thank you for asking that because I skipped one too many steps, didn't I? Step 15, before you sew the quilting, is where you would attach your backing fabric. And to do that, you would just take your hoop off your machine, leave your design in your hoop, turn it over, and add that over the back of the hoop. And it clings nicely to the battleizer. So pretty easily you can just turn your hoop right side up and put it back on your machine. Just peek to make sure that it didn't flip over or fall off or anything. And then with a water soluble thread, you would tack that down around the edges. If you do that and you're adding the backing fabric in the hoop, you do want to make sure that for step 16 that we just did, which is that quilting. You want to make sure that the thread in the bobbin matches the thread in the needle. You also want to turn off your automatic thread cutter and bring your bobbin thread to the top of your block before you start stitching. And if you do all three of those things, the quilting on the back of your quilt is going to look just as pretty as the quilting on the front. So yes, thank you for asking that. I'm sorry. I'm frazzled today, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing.
We said it felt like Monday earlier, so.
It does. It does. Okay, so there is one last step in this design, and that would be to sew the satin stitching over fabric 5. Fabric 5, which is kind of my floral fabric right here. So you just do that with a thread and the needle only if you haven't added your backing fabric, and you'd sew that satin stitch. If you did add your backing fabric, Janet said pregnancy brain. That is right.
I know, I saw that. That's so funny.
That is absolutely right. My husband would agree with you. If you did add your backing fabric in the hoop, you would want to make sure that you did the 3 things we just mentioned. So match the thread in the needle to the thread in the bobbin, turn off your automatic thread cutter, and bring your bobbin thread to the top of your block. But I did this step ahead of time too, and that is over at our cutting demo. So Aubrey, if you want to take over the screen for a minute, then I will get set up. Thank you, ma'am.
I love taking over. I'm just kidding. So I wanted to just remind everyone, we did just last Thursday announce that we're going to be hosting another demo days. This time we're going to be featuring a brand new design like normal. This one's called Vintage Butterflies, and you guys, it is precious. In fact, I think precious is going to be our live keyword tomorrow. And the giveaway tomorrow is going to be up to $50. So I hope that you guys can join us. Also, please make sure that you register because you are going to get the cutest free gift. It's nothing we've ever done before for a free gift. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. But this one is, we're going to be live. Annie and I are going to be live Thursday and Friday this week, June 15th and 16th, both days at 2 p.m. Awesome free gift plus $50 store credit giveaway for a live viewer. And you guys you can't wait. This thing is so stinking. I'm excited to show it for sure. So, all right, let's move over to Sarah's demo cam for back to mystery quilt talk.
Yes. Okay. So here is my finished block. Let me hold it up a little bit closer. So there is our finished block for F5 for this year's mystery quilt. Very, very cute. And now we need to trim it. So F5 will have a block on every side of it that it meets up to. There's not going to be a side that has a binding sewn to it. So since a block is sewn to every side, we'll just trim each side the same way. So that makes trimming a little bit easier. And how we'll do this is we're going to use our trimmer by George. Now, has anyone watching this week never used a trimmer by George? Because I think it's awesome and it saves you a lot of headache from trimming into your block. So what this is basically an acrylic ruler with, if I can get it in the camera, this nice metal lip on the edge. So what this does is this metal lip is going to protect the fabric on the front of your block. So let's show you how to use it. So I'm going to take that metal lip and I'm going to stand it kind of on its end, and I will shimmy it under the fabric on the front of my block on one side. I'm going to lay it flat, and then I'll just check to make sure that no fabric is sticking out. And then I'm going to give just a little gentle tug and kind of shimmy my trimmer by George back and forth a little bit. Little gentle tug on that battleizer. That will get this metal lip as close to that basting stitch as possible. And then with a 60mm rotary cutter, I'm going to trim away that battleizer. And if you added your backing fabric in the hoop, you trim the same exact way. So you're still going to follow these same steps, whether or not your backing fabric is on in the hoop. And this is nice because this helps us remove all of that bulk. So what would be your battleizer and your backing fabric potentially. that would be in the seam. This helps us remove all of that. So just a little gentle tug on that battleizer. And you do want to use a 60mm rotary cutter, because what happens if you're not using that, you'll not only kind of mark up that metal edge a bit, do a little damage to that, but you're probably also trimming a little at an angle instead of straight up and down. And when you trim at an angle, you are more likely to cut into your block. Okay, last one. So stand my trimmer by George up on that metal lip, shimmy it up under the fabric on the front of the block, and then lay it down. Make sure no fabric is peeking out, and then a little gentle tug on that battleizer to get it as close to the basting stitch as possible. Okay, so we've got that trimmed up really nicely. There's the back of it. And then with the front of it, we're just going to turn our trimmer by George over so that the metal lip is up, and we'll use it just as any old acrylic ruler. So we're just going to trim 1/4 inch from the basting stitch on all sides. And I use my trimmer by George for everything. If I'm cutting fabric for a quilt, I use it. I try my best not to pull out my other acrylic ruler. I love the size of this. I think it's very manageable. Another thing I love about this is, I'll show you this block. I keep talking to you guys. But here is our final block. So that's block F5. It is. Another thing I love about this, though, I was going to say, because coming up in week 5, we are going to be talking about joining. So hopefully you guys can see this on camera. But this bold dash says sashing, and this bold dash says binding. So I love having those. Oops, I almost dropped it. I love having those little reminders on there so that when I go over to my cutting table, I can cut it right every single time.
You don't even have to measure, just have to follow the guide.
That's right. Okay.
All right, Sarah, I'm not sure which camera to remove from you, so I'm going to pop this back up here real quick, and then maybe I'll pop you up. So just wanted to do a super quick reminder again. Make sure you get registered. You can register at hoopsisters.com in our open house tab. There's an open house freebie. There's a firework block freebie in there. And then there's this, and you'll get a free gift for registering in advance. So make sure you go do that. And then Sarah, I think I'm going to switch the camera back to you. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take that camera off, but I do still need it in the stream, Aubrey.
Okay, well, we'll just do that. How about that?
There we go.
And I don't see any questions in here, but if you guys have some, let me know. I do have a giveaway yet to do, but if there's anything you want to add, Sarah?
I don't think there's much I want to add, I guess. Like I said earlier, it's kind of a catch-up week if you're interested in doing that. Just since these blocks down here are going to stitch quite a bit faster, since it's mostly just that quilting. But then we get to reveal the last of the blocks next week, and then the following week we will join them together.
Oh, I've seen this question a couple of times about the fireworks. Yeah.
So there's no binding on it. There's just a lining on it. So if you get this, there is an option. The very last step is to lay a lining fabric when it's in the hoop. Lay a lining fabric right side down over the block, and then I just turned it right side out and top stitched it closed. If you want to add a binding, you can just skip that step, that very last step. Don't add the lining. You could go back to the very first step and tack down fabric on the back of your block, and then just trim 1/4 inch on all sides through all layers, and then you could add binding. So either way, really.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get this giveaway done. One of you lucky live people are going to win $10 in-store credit. So here we go. who's it going to be? And again, we have another giveaway tomorrow. So be live at the same time tomorrow talking about something else. Mickey, congratulations.
Awesome.
Mickey's actually,
Congratulations.
yeah, she became a certified teacher. Oh my gosh, just a couple years ago, probably. Time goes so weird. It's been a little while. So congratulations, Mickey. That's awesome. So you will just want to, Mickey, email Nina at hoopsisters.com. Let her know that you were our $10 store credit giveaway winner today, and she will add that to your account. And I'm just going to say there might be something really, really, really precious that you could spend that on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you probably have a lot of the other things. So
I see someone said, Kathy over on YouTube said, is there a good way to remember? Let me put this up here so I don't lose it. Is there a good way to remember not to trim the applique fabric from the border block? I'm thinking you're meaning like something like this floral fabric up here. So you always want to remember on the edges of your block, you never trim close to the basting stitch. You always want there to be extra fabric in that seam allowance so that when you're stitching your blocks together, it catches in there and you won't have a raw edge that's showing. In our instructions, typically how we word that is to trim on the inside of the block. So the inside of the block would just be anything within those basting stitches. So that's probably the best way to remember. Kathy, you could also reference, I think this year I had one, there might be 2 slideshows for this week. I don't remember exactly how many there were, but with the slideshows, you will see the normal step-by-step instructions that you get, plus step-by-step photos of us actually stitching out a block. So you'll see the block at every particular stage, instead of what you see in instructions, which is kind of a shot of that particular step from the digitizing software. So maybe check the slideshows. And I think with time and practice and stitching a few more things by Hoop Sisters, it'll be automatic for you and you'll know. So I hope that helps.
yep. Okay. It looks like it is helpful because she commented below. So that's great.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's it, you guys. We just did week 3 tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be back. Tomorrow and Friday we will be back talking all things vintage butterfly, and we have an awesome demo for you lined up then for demo days. And then next Wednesday, I don't have the date in front of me, but same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live, and Sarah's going to reveal the entire quilt at that point.
Yes.
And then we'll have, even the week after that, she'll be back to help with trimming, joining, and all that good stuff. So if you're kind of, a little bit unsure about that part of it, just keep making blocks, keep moving forward, and she will dive into all that good information then as well. So Peggy says, on to the homework. I get it. Yep. All right. Well, go get your homework done. And thank you, Sarah. Have fun, everyone. Keep posting your pictures in the Facebook group too. We love to see all of that coming together.
Yes.
All right.
All right. See you guys next Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
Well, Aubrey will see you tomorrow. I'll see you next
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.